Hello, Divine One. Welcome. Happy to have you. Here we are for another reading to read the energies of the current moment of you. Now, for this reading, we've simplified a lot, as you can see. We're only going to be reading from one deck, and this is so that I can become more familiar with each deck. So our concentration has narrowed, our vision has become narrowed, but it is now going to cut deep. So we are turning on our lasers now. And this is in the hopes that intentions will now become clearer and crisper with more fidelity and more potency, power, penetration. Before we begin, I'm calling in Infinite Spirit. I am calling in Infinite Spirit. May Infinite Spirit channel through me. May I be a channel for Infinite Spirit during this reading to communicate what needs to be communicated, to elevate the energy of all beings, and most importantly, to elevate the energy of the viewer and my own being. Thank you. I am grateful. And I am grateful you are here. Let us begin. Once again, I'm going to attempt to keep these readings under 15 minutes. So I'm going to work on my intro and try to cut it down so we can get it down under a minute and get to what's important as quickly as possible. I'm going to work on that. All right, here we go. Starting off, we have the shadow. So you may be doing some shadow work right now, consciously or unconsciously. All of us have a shadow, and this shadow is the part of us that we have not accepted, the part of us that we have not forgiven. It can be a part of us that has shielded us. It has shielded our heart, therefore shutting down our heart, but also protecting our heart. Now, these barriers are overall not helpful for the soul's journey, and so they must be broken down. More precisely, they must be let down, because broken down is causing more of the same dark energy. We need to let these walls down, to let the heart sing. All right, continuing. We have the shapeshifter. So you may find yourself to be a shapeshifter. Right now, I'm going to put this card directly above the shadow. So the shapeshifter might be who you appear to be in all different circumstances of your life. So you may be a shapeshifter depending on the circumstances of your life, who you're with, what your role is in that circumstance, the power dynamics of that circumstance, the energies surrounding you, the environment, and your current state of being, your current emotional state, what you're thinking about. All these things can contribute to the shape you have chosen to shift into in the present moment. And ultimately, we can consider all these to be part of the ego, and we can also consider them to be disguises of our true nature. And so in a way, these parts of us, the shape-shifting parts, are covering up the shadow, for they are not whole truths, but partial truths, and we often use them as distractions to hide away from our shadow side, pretend that it doesn't exist, and instead put on a face or put on a mask that we feel is more appealing, that we feel suits us better, that we feel will attract what we want, that we feel will please others. The list goes on and on. Let us find out more. Alright, so we get quite a few that want to come out right now. The first one, the cave. So, putting this in the past position, I just did that naturally. You can take a look. So here's the cave. So we see eyes staring out of this cave with third eye or Ajna chakra activated, as if it is a distant star, a distant but bright star. So this appears to be connected to the shadow self. We see this being in the shadows. So you may find yourself in the shadows a lot, maybe misrepresented a lot, because you are a shapeshifter and because you are a high-dimensional being, and you shapeshift to appease the lower dimensional understanding of those around you, for they do not understand your true nature, and so you hide it to please them. But in truth, you are a high-dimensional being, and you are meant to have your Ajna chakra awake. And you may look as though you're a scary demon when you're at your full power, but this is something that needs to happen. And in fact, maybe it has happened, and maybe that's why this card is in the past, because you did have some kind of spiritual awakening, and this awakening led to finding yourself in a position where others started viewing you differently and treating you differently, and perhaps not in the best of ways. Perhaps you felt more distant from others. Perhaps you felt others did not understand you. And so you've gone through this period of alienation in the past. So next we have the mountain. The mountain. So we see you in the center of this mountain. So the mountain is steadfast and sturdy. It has stood the test of time. It is wisdom. It is patience. It is passivity. And yet it is strength. And so you have these energies within you. All the qualities, the good qualities of the mountain, you have these energies at your disposal. I feel you're not using them in your everyday life. The strengths that you have when it comes to your ability to be rooted have not fully developed yet, but they are developing right now. Next card, the river. So this is your ability to flow with what is, flow with what is becoming. And so this is a progression, and it's also what I would say is the other half of your higher traits. So if mountain is the rooted trait, then we could say that the other half is your river trait. Or what I mean to say is that the river is your flowing trait. So you have the ability to be rooted, steadfast, sturdy in one place, but you also have the ability to move, flow, create current, and harmonization with yourself and those around you. These are higher level abilities that you are currently honing. So next we have the ocean. So where do rivers flow? They flow into the ocean. This is the sea of cosmic being. This is the vast awareness that has this benevolence to it. But this immensity to it as well. So you are finding your way to connect with Source. The forest. So I'm going to put this right here. So the forest, I would say, it's a place where we can get lost. This forest is very dark. And so I feel we can get lost in the darkness sometimes. But we also see this pastel, almost sunrise sky, or perhaps sunset. So there's a lot of openness above you. Forest can also be a place of tranquility. It all depends on your perspective. All right, let's continue. The desert. So you may have found that in the past, things have felt barren, things have felt lackluster, without meaning, and perhaps you felt a little dry. So you may be someone who has difficulty with feeling things, feeling your emotions, and I think this is part of the closed heart. Which is returning back to our first card, the Shadow. So with a closed heart, brings somewhat of a desert in our experience of the world. Without the heart, which is the core of who we are, everything else loses meaning and we just become a barren husk, a zombie, if you will, simply meandering about without purpose, without meaning. And that is when we get lost in our forest. So we get lost all because coming back to our central problem, which is our shadow. So this is what we haven't looked at. That's why it's a shadow. It has not been looked at. It's in the dark. This being is in the dark here. but their third eye is awakened. So this being in the past, this is you. You have heard the call of the divine. The divine is speaking to you about this shadow, and the divine is trying to help you to reveal it to yourself and move past it, grow from it, and transcend into a higher reality where you've incorporated all the lessons of the shadow to become your fullest self. So the divine is helping you with this. Your shape-shifting nature, that's your day-to-day in the present moment. And this is because you're in a state of flux. It's also the state of neglecting the shadow. So you're in a state of flux because you're in a time of not knowing your identity. And you don't know your identity until you've moved through the shadow. And because you don't know your identity, you're switching identities depending on who you're with. Now, we all do this to a certain degree no matter what, but I think we'll do it less and less the more we have opened our heart and are emitting the frequency of what is true for us, what is authentic, and emitting more divine frequencies. And so the shapeshifter is kind of a recruited, wily trickster that the shadow uses to keep you in the dark. It's the shadow's right-hand man, shall we say, is the architect, the archetype of the shapeshifter. So the shadow has many henchmen at their disposal. And one of them is this shapeshifter that shadow employs upon you so that your conscious self is unaware of who you really are. Next card, the bridge. So the bridge, I'm going to place the bridge right here. So the bridge is getting from this divine spark that wants to lead you, coming from your Ajna chakra, very high frequency. But the hand on the other side is this mountain here. So the divine really wants you to become rooted in yourself and grounded in reality. You may tend to be a daydreamer, and this is all well and good. Reality, divine spirit, infinite spirit doesn't want you to stop with your dreaming, because that is where you play. That is where you are inspired. That is where your imagination flourishes. And that is where a lot of abundance is able to make its way to you and through you. It is one of your greatest gifts, but in order for this gift to be fully realized, you have to establish this gift that is dormant within you, which is the skill of being a mountain. And from there, you can then develop the skill of being a river, of flowing in the moment. And from there, you're really going to be able to connect with the divine and flow into the ocean. So it's a 1, 2, 3. You just have to grab the hand that is being held out to you to ground in yourself and ground in the moment. Final card that wanted to pop out, we have the Temple. So I see this as another helper. So just like the shadow or the ego has henchmen that it employs to help it, so does the divine have soul friends, high frequency helpers that it is harmonizing with and synchronizing with to help you get out and back home. So the temple is going to be a place of community where you can share in the deepest part of the process of finding the self and the process of finding the divine. So this is another helping hand that is going to help you cross this bridge. Community, a spiritual community. That's going to be really important for you in your journey. Alright, and I think one more card wants to pop out. Let's see what it is. Oops, it wanted to take a little tumble. The thread. So the thread, this is climbing up a rope. So this is this part. So this is the hard part, shall we say. This is where effort is involved. Now, not the kind of effort that you think, and not a lot of effort, but it's more just by you being, you will show up for yourself, and sometimes that'll look like effort, sometimes it won't, but there's no doubting that it will take some considerable heft to heave yourself up to the higher frequencies. And that's you climbing this rope here. So that's you helping yourself. That's you helping yourself. So that is also part of the process. And by you helping yourself, combined with allowing yourself to be helped by others, being part of a community, and helping others in that community, you are going to be able to cross this bridge from this place of being misrepresented, but also being able to see the truth, because the divine is always with you and always has your back and always loves you. And two, you'll be able to cross to this place of groundedness, which is already an extremely high frequency, where you don't need anything from anyone else. You know who you are, and you're not going to let anyone take that away from you. And you're not trying to save anyone, because you know that we have to save ourselves first. And you're going to be authentic, and you're going to be immovable, and you're going to have strength, and you're going to know your self-worth. It's an extremely high frequency. This is going to be the hardest part, getting to the mountain. From here, from this place of groundedness, things will start to flow like a river. Color will begin to enter your life more rapidly, very quickly, in fact. It's just this one hurdle that's going to be the hardest part, but it's not even going to be hard, so don't worry about it. It's just going to happen naturally. But we can see the river has a lot of color. So a lot of colors can be entering your life again, a lot of vibrancy. This is going to be after you've grounded yourself. And you're just going to experience your consciousness is just going to get an upgrade. It's going to become high fidelity. Things are going to suddenly feel like you're living in 4K or 8K. And then from there, you're going to have a direct communication with the ocean, with the all-encompassing divine source. And from there, your psychic abilities are going to come online. And this hint of what was to come at the very beginning, with your third eye having a spark, will be fully realized once you get here. Your gifts are going to be unimaginably profound, sacred, and life-changing, not only for you, but for others. At this point, you won't need saving because you're going to be fully grounded in your truth, and you'll simply be a light for others, emitting incredibly high frequencies for the highest good of all and for the unity of all things. I hope this reading has given you some insight and perhaps has given you hope, maybe raised your frequency. I love you, I cherish you, and I wish you all the best. I know you're going to do great things. And your victory is a surety. I guarantee it. Big kisses. Heart on hand, hand on heart. Heart center breath. Breathing in the divine. Filling your heart with light. Feeling the angelic frequencies and all the angels around you, surrounding you with love. And breathing out all that which does not serve you. Holding the light in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You beautiful soul. Mwah.